The other thing is, oh, I was listening to today's show, right? That's what they do, off the rails. So Empowerment Village. Jenny Keeler and I started Empowerment Village on Facebook. It is a community of women, uplifting women, supporting women. And we have a 21-day challenge going on. It's called the Just One Thing Challenge, where we challenge you to do just one thing every day for you or to support other women. So if you haven't gone out there and joined, please do. Facebook.com/Empowerment Village. And I am announcing the winners of our first week swag, which is this lovely Empowerment Village tumbler. Whoop, whoop. And so you see we got a metal straw, so it is environmentally friendly. It actually comes with 2 straws and a little scrubber. So it's got this bent one and it's got a straight one. Empowerment Village. And stay tuned because we're going to be doing a lot of stuff through Empowerment Village. But the winners this week are Lisa Marie Weiss and Toby Brown. Yay! So Toby and Lisa Marie, we've got your addresses. So be watching your mail coming up for your Empowerment Village swag. Let me turn my comments on here so I can see those. So be watching so you can get your Empowerment Village tumbler. See, I got my little hint water in there this morning. Because we must stay hydrated. So thank you guys again. Ladies, please come out, join Empowerment Village. We're also asking, what are some kind of things you'd want to learn? Because we're thinking about putting on some events with some classes. We're thinking about putting together a shop. I mean, there's so much stuff that's going to be coming with Empowerment Village, and we really want you to be a part of the community. Again, Facebook.com/Empowerment Village. That's where you want to be. Okay, let's dive into the topic today. This whole idea of limiting beliefs, this whole idea of head trash, where we get in our own way, all of that kind of stuff. So, as usual, I have a story of how this transpired, right? So, over the weekend, or last week, I was having a conversation with my therapist, and she had me do this thing called an Enneagram. And I've heard of Enneagram before, but I'd never done it. And I've done tons of assessments. And so, did the Enneagram because there's a question I'm trying to answer, right, for myself. There's a question I'm trying to answer, a why I'm trying to come up with. And so she had me do this Enneagram to kind of get some insight. Man, this thing, it was shocking how on point it is. Now, sidebar, there are some companies that use Enneagram, and I got to tell you, that gives me a little bit of heartburn because this thing is so deep. It is so deep and so on point that if you don't really know what you're doing, it can be so harmful. So hopefully companies that are using Enneagram for kind of those team building or coaching assessments, the people that are administering them and giving feedback actually know what they're doing. So anyway, we did this Enneagram. And one of the things that came up, and it's come up for me a lot, is this whole idea of trust, right, and truth. And just some things from long time ago, the understanding power. We talked a lot about power last year I had a month of power. Talked about power, our own power, the power of others, speaking truth to power, all of those kind of things. And it all boiled down to this idea of trust, right? And part of trust is being able to trust ourselves, being able to trust ourselves. And sometimes when we don't trust ourselves, we project whatever the issue is onto someone else, right? Someone didn't do what they were supposed to do. Someone didn't show up. Someone did me wrong. Somebody, there's a level of blaming or a level of trying to find out what the issue is without understanding that the fundamental issue is that it's a self-trust issue, right? We're not really relying on ourselves the way we could, because the reality is we are enough and we have everything that we need to get what we need. That's just what I believe. That doesn't mean you just get to sit back and say, hey, bring it to me. It does mean you have to be in action, but you have what you need to be able to make things happen, right? So as Jerry and I were talking this morning, I was saying, hey, this is what we're talking about, and this is why, and trust, this deep work. And I had this amazing conversation with someone about my podcast yesterday that just came out of nowhere, and then had a divine download this morning that said, you know what? It's like that joke with that man in the boat that keeps saying, Lord, rescue me, please rescue me. And he sends a helicopter, he sends another boat, he sends a plane, he sends all this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. The guy ends up dying, gets to heaven and says, Lord, I asked you to save me. He said, I sent planes, trains, and automobiles. What were you looking for? Right? So paying attention, there's been so many things that have been downloaded that it just said, get out of your own way and just make it happen, right? Physician, heal thyself. We can't coach ourselves. A physician, heal thyself. So one of the things I told Jerry this morning that came up is when you talk about speaking truth to power, right? Really being able to tell leaders the truth and leaders being able to accept when someone is speaking truth to them, when they're talking about their blind spots, when something is going on and people are giving them information that they need to know. Sometimes the power we need to speak truth to is us. We need to be able to sit down with ourselves and speak the truth. How did we show up? Did we show up? Why didn't we show up? And do it in a way that gives ourselves some grace, because sometimes you just got to do the little things, right? Sometimes it's just understanding and being aware. That's the most we can do. We can't deal with anything else other than that at the moment. And that's okay. It's okay. Just like the truth for me last night is I don't have time or the energy to braid up all this hair, right? So we are in Afro puff mode today. But that speaking truth to power is sometimes speaking truth to ourselves, telling ourselves what needs to happen, what should have happened, what could have happened, how strong we are, how intelligent we are, how capable we are. Speaking truth to power, especially when we're talking about ourselves, is not always negative. Yeah, we need to hold ourselves accountable for things, but sometimes that speaking truth to ourselves is eliminating that head trash, eliminating that story that's not true. We've talked about that polyvagal, right? How sometimes we get in those modes where we just don't have energy. All we want to do is Netflix and chill, or we're in that fight or flight, right? Just all this really nervous energy, but it's not necessarily productive energy. And what happens is when we're in those spaces, there may be facts that we have seen, facts that we know about our situation, but the story we're telling ourselves about those facts may or may not be true. That is especially important when we're talking to ourselves about ourselves. So how can we go back and look at the facts and then understand what's the real story that the facts are telling us, right? Just like a lot of stuff that comes out right now in the public. What are the real facts and what is the real story that the facts are telling us? What is the science saying? Yes, Jerry.
You have Clement Antega watching from Kenya.
Oh, hi, Kenya. Thank you so much for joining in. So it's really important. It's really, really important for us to think about, hey, wait, before I get myself all twisted up in knots, before I decide I can't, before I decide I shouldn't, before I go to someone else and say, well, you took what was mine, let me pause, practice the pause, the power of the pause, understand the facts, write the correct story, and then take action. That truth to power sometimes is speaking truth to ourselves, because we have all of these things that get in our way. You know, my new mantra this year is, you guys have known who've been listening to me for a while, the word for this year was surrender. And it has been the hardest year on record for me. And not just because of the pandemic and all that kind of stuff, right? But that surrender, because I got control issues, y'all. I know this about me. I got control issues. So that surrendering to the flow, all that stuff I tell y'all to do, right? It's so difficult. I know I need to do it. I know the power of it. I can see how it works. And yet when you get in your own space, it's like, maybe I need to think about that some more. Maybe I need to, I don't know. Just like with the show, when Jerry said, I need you to do a show, my first response, let me think about it. Luckily, I did sit, God burned the bush, and say, girl, please, I need you to go do the radio show. Call Jerry and see if it's still open, because see, now you're about to mess up, so just go. It's that kind of stuff that we need to think through. What are we doing to get in our own way? And that is career or business. What are we doing to get in our own way? What is that story? What is that head trash we're telling us that is standing in the way? You know, that idea of success equals pain. That was real for me, because I was extremely successful in corporate and it was painful, right? No sleeping on the Sunday for 5 years, constant conflict behind just some mess, and folks not wanting to be honest and tell the truth. I mean, a mess. It was painful, but I didn't know that my spirit, my brain had wired, my nervous system had wired success to pain. I didn't know that. I didn't know it had made that connection, right? Until I did the work. You got to do the work, y'all. And if you don't want to have a therapist, fine. I mean, I love my therapist and I believe in therapy. Find a confidant, find a coach, find somebody, because sometimes we need that external vision, those external words for us to hear it. Because when we're talking, we're so busy, our brain is so busy working our mouth, right? We got our thoughts and we're trying to get the thoughts out. We're not necessarily listening or hearing what we're saying. And you understand differently when you're listening than with your talking. That's why they say you got 2 ears and 1 mouth. You should listen more than you speak. So if you're talking about getting rid of head trash and getting rid of limiting beliefs and getting out of our own way, we got to be willing to speak truth to ourselves. We got to be willing to go ask for someone else to help us recognize. And we got to be willing to do the work. We got to be willing to do the work. And how much bigger or broader or impactful could our work be if we were truly standing in our power and standing in all that stuff where we know we are enough. We're enough. We got everything that we need. Everything that we need. You know, this call I had yesterday, you know, I think I've told you guys, one of the things that for me in 2019, I said, January 2019, what I wrote down was, I'm going to be more visible. Because for me, you know, visibility, that's a thing, y'all. I am fairly introverted, all that kind of stuff. I'm professionally extroverted. I do it because I have to. Although I love the radio show, I'm really surprised at how much I love being visible. But that was my thing in 2019. I'm going to be more visible. And in my mind, I was thinking, man, that means I got to be on social media all the time. I got to post all the time. I got to be on, 40 million times a day. Right? But I knew it was something that was important for me to be able to build my business. And the radio showed up, right? The podcast started taking off, all these kind of things. And then as I was having this conversation yesterday with someone about building the podcast and really building the audience, that whole idea came up again, right? You got to be more visible. This is how much you need to be posting on TikTok. This is how much you need to be posting on this. This is how much you need to. And I could just feel my body constricting, right? I could just feel it. I'm like, I am not getting on TikTok with all that mess on TikTok. And he's like, you are so wrong. You are so wrong for that. You are so wrong. One, they got great algorithms, so don't worry about all the mess that's on TikTok. If you don't want to be in the mess, just don't be in the mess, right? But in listening to him, the thing that stuck out for me was, and that came to me this morning, because again, those divine downloads, we will hear the messages we need to hear when we are ready and able to hear them, right? And to receive them. So again, 4:00 this morning, my mantra, I want to be the woman God intended me to be, and I am willing to be uncomfortable to become her. That's my mantra. Every day, multiple times a day. This morning I heard that same joke, right? I sent you all this stuff to try to help you. You said you want to be more visible. Part of being visible is being active. You just had another message that said, if you really want to build this, you got to be active. If you really want to be in this media space and get this real message out and really impact people and impact lives and make change, to serve, because it's all about service for me. If you really want to serve, somebody else just confirmed again, not for the first time, y'all, again, one of the things you need to do that. What's your problem? And I had a conversation with my partner, Jenny Keeler for Empowerment Village. She does all those beautiful video clips. She takes all of my stuff and just clips it up for me so I can just do the stuff that's in my zone of genius. And I was talking to her about it. I'm like, I don't know. Let me think about it. She's like, Laura, do you know how many assets you have? Do you know how much content you have? You don't have to recreate stuff new every day, all the time. So had the call, right? I've been going back to 2019. Here's what you said you wanted. Had the call with this person yesterday. Here's what you need to do to be more visible, to build your message, right? For people to know who you are. Had the call with Jenny. You got enough stuff. You don't have to keep recreating stuff. I'm like, you know what? Heard it this morning. I'm trying to tell you what to do. I'm trying to tell you what to do. I am burning the bush. What else do you need to do? And I just thought about this, Jerry. Look, when I walked out of my house this morning, this is crazy, y'all. When I walked out of my house this morning, I smelled smoke. I was like, wait, that doesn't smell like somebody barbecuing. That's not like regular smoke. And I saw it coming up over the fence behind my yard, right? Like a couple of houses down. And I thought, it's like 9 o'clock in the morning. Let me go around here and see, make sure if something's on fire that I call the fire department or something, right? So I go riding around the corner. Fire department's already there. Thank goodness. Fire department's already there. So I'm really praying and believing that these neighbors of mine on the street behind me are okay. And it was caught in time. But again, the connection that I just made, you said you want to be visible. You said you wanted to be able to give your message and serve bigger. Somebody else just told you what you need to do that, which was be visible. Your partner in crime who knows your message and believes in your message has told you you got enough stuff. You don't have to keep creating it from new because that's one of your blocks. Your creative process works differently. And to sit down and just say, I'm going to create today is just really difficult for you. You don't have to do that because you got enough stuff for days, years. And then you walk outside and you actually smell smoke. So maybe it wasn't the bush in your yard that was burning, but I think that was a signal. Y'all with me?
Mm-hmm.
So listen to see what it is that you're supposed to be doing and believe that. Believe that, because when you are in your zone of genius, when you are in your purpose, when you are doing the thing that you're supposed to do, all the stuff you need shows up. Jerry and I had that conversation again today. When you are doing what you're supposed to, because I forgot to put my do not disturb on. I knew somebody was going to call. Have confidence that if you have done the work, if you've taken the time, if you've given yourself the gift to have the space to figure out what it is you really want, do the work. That's what I do with my clients. We start with who you are, where you are, what you want, and what you're going to do to get there. That's what we start with. Because if you don't know that, you're just going. You got to know where you're trying to go. So even if you have a deviation, at least you still know the ultimate direction, right? So when you when you figured out your purpose, when you figured out what you want to do, whether that's I want to be a CEO or I just really want to lead this group. I love doing taxes. This is what I love to do. I want to have my own business, or I want to be, the director of tax at an organization. I want to lead a tax practice in professional services. Whatever that thing is, if you've really gotten clear on that's your thing, that's your genius, right? At some point, it may just be your excellent, but that's your genius. That's what you really feel called to do. Then listen to the messages that come up for you when it gets hard. Because things will come up that'll get in the way that make you second guess. Did I really hear that? Is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? I'm a witness, right? It happens because people are people. And not everyone is going to get your vision. As Lisa Nichols always says, don't worry if people don't support your vision or if they don't get it. God didn't give it to them. He gave it to you. And that's where you almost start to feel like not everybody can go everywhere with you. Not everyone is meant to be with you at all times. People come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Try not to make seasonal folks into lifetime folks. Because not everybody's meant to be there for a lifetime. But what are you going to do to give yourself the opportunity to get into those messages that are derailing you, that head trash, that stuff that says you're not enough? One of the things that came up for me too, this whole idea of trust, right? And trusting yourself and speaking truth to yourself about the real issues, right? And that self-trust, I thought, you know what? That ties into so much stuff, right? So yes, my brain connected fear to success, success to pain. But what that's about is the experience was so painful that I no longer trust myself to be able to handle success. That's what it's about. It's not trust. It's not about the success. Because I know I can be successful. I've done that multiple times. I'm good at what I do. It took me a long time to say that. I'm really good at what I do. But that trust factor, that head trash, man, and it hits you at the worst times. It hits you when you need to be your strongest. It hits you when it is hardest. Because things are going to come at you at the hardest times to make you determine, is this really what I want? The devil is busy. It's really busy. All of that head trash is really busy. And so being able to pause and discern, is what I'm hearing truth? Is what I'm hearing real? Can I trust what I'm hearing? And then to take action based on that, based on the truth, based on what's real. Because if that's not the case, then maybe you might need to adjust and do something else. But you got to be willing to think through the head trash first, acknowledge that it exists, and then be able to think and work through it. You owe that to yourself to be able to do that. Right? And it's not easy. I'm not pretending this is easy. I'm not at all pretending it's easy, because it is not easy. It is not easy. It is not easy to get up and put your face on and get on camera. Well, not for me. For a lot of people, it is. Right? It's not easy to stand in front of big crowds for people. It's not easy, to get up and go to work every Sunday, every Monday, right? But nobody promised us easy. Nobody promised easy. But it's so worth it if what you're doing is in your purpose and you're serving others and you're making an impact and you're making a difference and you are leaving this world better for you having been in it. That's the point. That's the point. And when you do all that stuff and you're walking in your genius and you're doing the stuff that you're supposed to be doing, prosperity comes. When you are leading with service, when you're leading with impact, the other stuff comes. The connections come. The money comes. The security comes. When you are believing and moving in that space, all that stuff comes. And I'm telling you, you're going to be challenged, because I've had my own moments in this last year when I'm like, you know what? I'm just through with this. Let me just go get a job. Let me go get a regular paycheck. Because this is hard. This is hard. And all of us have those moments. None of us is perfect. None of us is perfect, but we got to give ourselves some grace, right? We've got to give ourselves some grace. We've got to understand in those moments to take a minute. Who's in your village that you can go to and say, I'm having a minute. I'm having a moment. It's a froze all day kind of day. Can we just go do that, right? The person you put on speed dial. Maybe it's your ride or die that, when you wind up in jail for doing something silly, you look next to you and there they are saying, ooh, that was fun, right? Or the person you call for bail money when you do something really stupid. Who's in your village that's going to help you, one, really get to your truth? Because remember, the folks in your village love you, support you, lift you up, but they also tell you the truth. And they don't tell it in a way to hurt you. They tell it in a way to lift you up, but they always tell you the truth. So who are those people that you can surround yourself with that are going to help you eliminate the head trash? When you say stuff that's not true, they're going to say, that's not true. Let me give you a different perspective on that. That is so important to have those people in your life, especially if you're single. Because if you're single and you're like me, you spend a lot of time in your head because you spend a lot of time by yourself. And when I spend too much time in my head, that can be a very interesting place to be. It can be a very interesting place to be because I am a thinker. I'm a processor. And I can think or process my way into or out of just about anything. And that's a dangerous place to be. That's why you need those people who can be your sounding boards. You need those people who can bounce things off of, right? You don't have to tell everybody everything. You don't have to do that, right? And like they say, sometimes you need to just not tell people what you're going to do. You just need to do it and show them. So you don't need to necessarily let everybody in on every secret. But when you find that rabbit hole starting, right? You find yourself starting in the tornado. Who is your village? Who are your go-to people that can say, "Oh, I need a minute. Can you meet me for a minute? Can you just have a phone call? Who's on your list? That's your homework for today. Who's on your list to call? Who's on your list to reach out to say, I just need a minute. I need a sounding board. I just need to vent, whatever it is. Who's going to be there, but there's also going to say, okay, well, I hear you. I can support you. But let's be supportive around true stories, not false stories, right? So all this stuff you're telling yourself about you can't and you won't and you shouldn't, that's not true. So let's talk about the truth, and then we can work from the truth. And we can fix stuff from the truth. We can fix stuff from facts. But if we're just fixing stuff from stories, coulda, woulda, shouldas, maybe, I thought I heard, so-and-so said, you can't do a lot with that. Data, facts, information. Now, don't get me wrong. All that stuff is just that. It's just information. You still need to put the right story around it. You still need to put the right information around it. You still need to put the right work in about it so that you're not just even just taking facts at face value. As they say, we are all entitled to our own opinions. We are not entitled to our own facts. So go get the truth. And that includes getting the truth about yourself and having people who are willing to speak truth to power when the power is you. Having people around you who can help you move into that space. Having people around you who can say, I hear you, but no. Having people around you who say, make that phone call and go do that show. Are you kidding me? What do you mean you have to think about no, just do. I have a really good friend of mine, and I was talking to him about some of this stuff the other day, a few weeks ago. And he said, you know what, Laurel? He said, I just jump in the deep end. He said, my cousin called me and said, man, you're that kid that just jumps in the pool. Doesn't even know if there's water in it, just jumps in the pool. And then once you jump, you're like, oh, I probably should have checked if there's water. He's like, why not? I just jump in. I figure I'll fix it later. Right? Some of us take those kind of risks. But here's the other thing about that individual, which is so funny. In many ways, that is him. Just jump in. Can you do that? Absolutely, I can do it. And I'll just figure it out. The other side of him, though, is he is a beast around preparation. A beast. He has a level of confidence and assurance bordering on arrogance because he gets prepared. He gets prepared. So he can have a level of arrogance because he knows he's prepared. He knows he's ready. He knows from experience that when he does that, his likelihood of success is so much higher. So yeah, he's confident and sometimes arrogant about it because his history of preparation and execution has led to success. So he knows those two are connected. It's the same thing for all of us, right? How do we get to understand what those experiences are for us? But not only the experience itself, but what is the real story around that experience? What is the real thing that that experience taught us? And everything around the experience. How we got there. How did it come out? How did we act? How did we not act? What were the outcomes? Do we want those different outcomes? All of that stuff, those postmortems are really critical to growth. What happened? How it happened? Why it happened? What did I do? What did I not do? How can I do something different? Did I like this? Did I not like this? There's learning in all of that. Data is important because that helps us begin to automatically tell the right stories so that we're not having to undo stuff. And understand, all of us at some level have some sort of trauma. Even people who had really great lives have some sort of trauma that we're trying to deal with. And some of the hardest is stuff that happened the earliest because that gets really deep seated. That's why they say, you got to be careful what you say to people, because words once spoken can't be forgotten. Word once spoken can't be forgotten. And words sit deep in someone's soul. They can attach, like, what is that stuff? Kudzu or whatever it is that like even grows into trees. Like the roots can actually, maybe I'm watching too much Bones, can grow into trees and just attach to stuff. Spanish moss does the same thing. Some of these invasive vines. Words can do the same thing. The words people say to us, the words we say to ourselves can get in and seed deep. They can latch on and they'll pop up when you least expect them. That's what starts that head trash. They just get in the way. How many times have you getting ready to do a project and you're like, oh, I can't do that. Or you didn't apply for a job. We talked about this last week. You get ready to apply for a job and you're like, oh, but I haven't done all that stuff. I don't know if I can do it. As I said on my podcast, stop it. Yes, you can. What are all the things you can do? What are all the things you have done that apply to that project, that role, that job, that adventure, that whatever? What are all the things you have done that are applicable? Start there. Don't start with all the stuff you haven't done. Don't start with all the negatives. Start with what you have done. And even the stuff that doesn't fit, how does what you learn from that fit with what they need? All experience is experience. All information is information. All feedback is feedback. And then you synthesize it, you understand it, and then you utilize it to do what you need to do, to show up the way you need to show up, to be who you need to be. But you have to be willing to listen and learn and pause, to have a village, to create this support network around you, to give people the opportunity to support you, which is hard for some of us type A and secure overshooters, to ask for help, to ask for assistance, to tell people you need a minute. I am really glad that nowadays we are much more aware of, focused on, tolerant of people just needing a minute, of mental health awareness, of the emotional challenge that many people go through on a daily basis. Again, the big thing my friend Dina says all the time in the DE&I space, diversity, equity, and inclusion space, is you never know what race people have run before they walked in the door. You can't assume everybody's starting at the same starting line. Some people have run 3 marathons before they even get to the sprint they're about to have to do with you. So their perspective is different. Their energy level is different. Their ability to accomplish some of the same things is different because their starting point was different. Their road was different. Their obstacles were different. That doesn't make them better or worse. It makes it different. And how do we acknowledge that? The same acknowledgement that we should give ourselves. Because even when we talk about bias and unconscious bias in the workplace, right, or even in our lives, sometimes we have our own bias for ourselves, right? Because we'll have some experience with ourselves or somewhere we've shown up or something that we've done, and we're like, ooh, yeah, see, I know how that responds. I know how I do when that happens. I know what that makes me feel like. But do we? Or has it become a habit? Is it real or is it Memorex, right? Do they even make those commercials anymore? I don't think so. I don't even know if Memorex is around. Those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, look that up. Memorex. I think it was Ella Fitzgerald, when they used to sing on the Memorex commercial. Mm-hmm. So the point is, we all have that little tape, that little voice that says, not today, not enough, not the thing, you can't do, how come, why? We all have that. But we don't have to believe it. We have to acknowledge it. We have to understand it. We have to take what's important for us to make the change or take the actions we need to take. But we don't have to believe all of that at face value, even if it's us talking to us. Because sometimes speaking truth to power means speaking truth to yourself. It's just that simple. And that difficult. Because we don't always want to do that. And we don't always have the wherewithal to do that. But when we can do that for ourselves, then it makes it easier for us to do that for other people and to surround ourselves with what we need and who we need, and to let go when what's around us or who's around us is not right or accurate or appropriate or available. It's okay to say no. No is a full sentence. And it's okay to say no to yourself, right? But it's important to understand that as we move through, all of those experiences begin to build our toolbox. They all do. All of the experiences we have begin to build those battle scars. You know, we've talked about that before too. There's value in experience because the more you see things, the more you know how to adjust, and you see outcomes, the more you learn from that. That's why those postmortems are so important. What did we learn? Yeah, that really sucked, but what did we learn? And you take the learning, and that helps inform your next action at the same time, right? Or your next action when it happens again. That's why that experience is important, because the more experience you have, the more you're able to see something and say, I've seen that before. Last time something similar to that happened, this is what the outcome was. Maybe I should do something different, right? It helps you to navigate. Experience helps you navigate. But you have to be able to pay attention and listen and hear. And if all we're listening to is the trash, is that you can't, you're not enough, you're not smart enough, you haven't done enough, if we're listening to all that stuff and not really listening to what's going on, right? If we're not really pulling that apart, peeling back the layers to know what's real and what's false, right? What story is true and what's not, we don't benefit from those experiences that we have to be able to do something different next time. But it takes time. It takes effort. And it takes a willingness to give yourself some grace, because we have a tendency to not do that. We have a tendency to not do that. We have a tendency to think we have to be on all the time. I think, Jerry, you and I talked about this last week, is, comedians are not on all the time.
Right.
None of us can be on all the time. Sometimes you need to not be on. That's why your village is important. Where are the people you can surround yourself with where you can just be you? You can just show up. You can say nothing for hours, and they are just fine. Because they know you, and they support you, and they respect you, and they love you, and it's okay to just say nothing. Because they know you need a minute. And they don't think anything different. We all need that. We all need that environment. That's why it's important for you to have your confidant from a career perspective. Who is your go-to person? And sometimes you have some of that inside your organization, but as you heard Celine say last week, you have to find someone outside of your organization. You have to. You have to find a neutral party. You have to find someone who knows you, but is neutral enough about the situation that can give you good feedback, can be a great sounding board, right? But that is not caught up in the same madness, because then both of you are playing on each other's stuff. It is critical that you find someone outside. If you're running your own business, it's critical that you find someone else to talk to your business about, not just your business partner. It is critical as you're moving through your career that you have those supporters, those mentors, those advocates, someone who is not in your organization, someone who's going to get it because they get you or they get the situation, but they're not going to commiserate, right? There's a time for commiseration, right? Because that makes us feel a little bit better, makes us feel like we're justified. But real supporters know the balance between commiserating with someone and saying, I hear you, but maybe next time you might want to think about that a little bit differently. Maybe that really wasn't what they meant. Or have you thought about it like this? You need those people. You need those people to show up for you, because it's really important to be able to work through the head trash. And it's hard to do that on your own, especially if you're in the depths of that head trash, especially if you're in the depths of those limiting beliefs, because we are truly only limited by what our head says. If your head says no, it'll be no. If your head says yes, you'll figure out how to make it a yes. But our thoughts lead our actions. Our thoughts lead our actions. And so if your thoughts are all negative, your thoughts are down, that's where your actions are going to go. And again, that's not to say we don't have moments and that depression and anxiety are not real. They are. They absolutely are. And they can be debilitating. But they're not always based on stories that are true. And that's why you seek help, and that's why you give people grace. Because we all need a minute sometimes. We all just need a minute sometimes to be able to do that, right? So I really want you guys, as you come up this week, one, check out that Enneagram thing. It's really cool. It takes about 40 minutes to do it, so you need to be ready. And you have to do it all in one sitting. It's not one of those where you can come back to. But check out that Enneagram, but be ready, because it's deep. The report is deep. But also give yourself the opportunity to do the work. Just to do the work. Because if you do the work, the outcome is so much greater. The peace is so much greater. But you got to give yourself the opportunity to do the work. And only you can do the work. Nobody can do the work for you. You've got to be in that place where you can just sit still a minute and dig deep, right? Have your box of Kleenex, have your box of chocolate chip cookies, whatever it takes. But just do the work. Journal. Journaling is big. Write it down. Get it out of your head and on paper. There is scientific connection between, writing things and our brain work. I remember reading not too long ago, maybe it was a while ago, they were saying even in colleges and universities are actually finding there's greater success when people take notes by hand as opposed to taking notes on their computers. Now, my handwriting has gotten so bad over the years that I almost have to type everything if I really want to be able to read it later. But there is a connection when I'm journaling, when I'm doing things that are really important. that connection of hand to mind to heart is really powerful for me. I know, Jerry, you color. There's things that do that, right? Praying in color is a big thing for me because my mind is always going. And so the activity they call praying in color, I'll post that, keeps my mind focused, right, on what I'm wanting to meditate about, what I'm wanting to pray about, who I'm wanting to pray for. Because my hand is active, that means my mind is focused on what my hand is doing, and my hand is doing things around the meditation or the prayer or whatever that's going on at that moment. So don't negate the simple things. I mean, there's a lot of research now about how much having a coloring book and doing that coloring has done for people during this pandemic. Mm-hmm. That work, painting by numbers. Why do you think those paint pour? Well, than the alcohol at some of them. Those paint and pours are so great. It's that activity. It's that hand-eye coordination, mm-hmm. right? Getting your whole body, so to speak, involved in the activity. And that's a way to get at those stories that are there. When you're journaling, when you're writing it down, that free form journaling, y'all, is powerful. Where you just start writing and you make no judgment. You make no judgment. You just write it. It comes up, you write it down. It comes up, you write it down. And you do not go back and evaluate. You do not go back and pass over it a few times. You don't stop writing until there's nothing else to write. And then you can go back and look and see, what patterns do I see? What do I see that keeps showing up over and over and over and over again? What is that? But don't do it in the moment. Do it afterwards. I've done that. It is powerful. Be ready for the stuff that shows up. Because it'll be something that you may not have even known was there, that was buried deep, 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 deep. Because those of us who are used to having a mask on, right, showing up, you gotta show up, right? You gotta show up. You gotta be a certain way. You gotta perform, right? Perform. You gotta be present. We tend to lock stuff away, and when it shows up, man, it is like a punch in the face. But if you will allow yourself to do that and see it and see the pattern, that just might be the thing that opens it up for you, that eliminates that limiting belief, because it's tied to something else that you didn't even recognize was buried. So think about doing that kind of journaling. Do the Enneagram. Think about doing that freeform journaling, because there's power in that. There's real power in doing that and having that stuff show up. Any comments yet today? I don't see any on my StreamYard, but I may have done something.
We have a few. Tiffany Busby says,
hi, Tiffany.
You never know the race a person has run before they're gotten to you. Their starting point is different.
Yes, absolutely.
And then Tatum Kathy, she got a mouth on her. She said, yep, sometimes your circle, you have to tell them you need a break before you tell them blank off.
Yeah, yes.
Give it all to God.
Yes. And your real circle will understand that.
And your real circle does understand it.
Yeah.
And then Tiffany also said, I love journaling. That is the truth.
Yeah.
And that is the truth. And also hitting that golf ball. I told you that kept my concentration because I didn't have any.
Right.
So just doing something repetitively.
Yep.
Back and forth, that eases the brain.
You know, it's funny because when I was living in Detroit, I was working at a professional services firm. And so because it was professional services, they always had golf outings, always. And I didn't know nothing about golf. But when I got up there, and it was in Michigan, when I got up there, I'm like, you know what? I need to go take some golf lessons because I need to be able to go out and at least play a scramble, right? Even if I can't play my own ball, at least play a scramble. Because otherwise, you know, you were sitting in you would go to the event, but you're sitting in the pool house, right? Mm-hmm. That doesn't make any sense. I need to be out there with the team. The thing I love about golf, and I'm horrible. I look good. I have my cute little outfit. I matched my hat, matched my shirt, matched my shorts, matched my shoes, matched my clubs, matched my bag. Man, I'm telling y'all, it was a beautiful thing. But what I loved about it is I couldn't think about anything else.
That's it.
It made my brain go quiet. I mean, you're right on, Jerry. Golf doesn't let you think about nothing else. So we're doing golf and win that we've been trying to talk about this golf time. Look, I did the gardening now. I need a minute to get to the golf. But we are going to go.
You don't know what you missed.
When this heat calms down. I can't do this heat. But it is one of those things that makes your brain take a pause. Journaling makes your brain take a pause. Or even if it's not pausing in the moment because you're doing kind of that free form, you're getting it all out on paper, so it's not sitting there rolling around making you crazy.
Michelle Johnson said she started journaling when her mom passed and really helped, and that is true. That's how I got started with all that stuff, and that's true. Cynthia Hickman says, okay, JP, it is. We do golf since she doesn't want to ride a bike.
Yeah, I don't ride bikes.
You don't do nothing that you
I don't ride. I don't do bikes, y'all. I have yet to find a seat made that didn't hurt. And that pressure on my wrist, yeah, I'm not biking. I will row all day long. But yeah, no. I'll catch y'all on the other side.
What do you do that you like to do that's outside, Laurel?
Not a whole lot.
Oh my God.
No, actually, that's really funny. Because, and this is important, y'all. It really does tie in, because that idea of getting out of that head trash and getting out of those limiting beliefs, you have to go do something that takes you out of the space that lets that stuff fester. So if you're sitting in your office all the time, if you're sitting in your desk all the time, if you're in your house all the time, that space allows the noise to happen, right? So, I mean, I love doing this gardening thing and being outside. I love the first thing in the morning. I love walking, just being outside, seeing the sun, breathing the air. I love that. I like hiking. I'm not a great hiker. I mean, I'm not like one of those like professional hiker things, but I like doing those kind of things and walking. Yeah, I just don't like being on a bike.
Okay, we'll do the hiking thing, but let me ask you this question. I know this is your show, but I got to ask you this question real quick. Did you not want to do the gardening at first? Didn't you say, nah, I just don't do dirt, I just do?
Oh, I did. But see, I biked before.
Okay, but the dirt. But you said
the dirt. Yeah, I don't do dirt.
Okay, and so the golfing thing, you said you don't do that because you.
No, I love golf. I love golfing. I just haven't. That's a failure to put it on the list problem.
Okay, and the biking thing is because you know.
No.
You can't find it.
No.
You making people believe there's something back there that's a problem to find.
You know, some people just aren't made to do everything.
Okay, that's good. But let me ask this question. No, because you're asking the question of doing something that you've never done, or that you've done it before, but that's taking you out of your comfort zone.
Right.
What if what you're supposed to meet is on the bike trail or the golfing trail, or just like the radio show, or just like the thing? If you felt a divine drawing to this, would you do it then? Even
if I felt a divine drawing to it, I would. Ain't no divine drawing to getting on a bike. Ain't nothing telling me burning the bush saying, "Girl, get on that bike." But your point is taken, right? When you say you're not going to do something, are you not doing it because you don't want to, or you've had experience doing it and it doesn't work for you, or are you doing it because you're afraid?
Like I told you yesterday, I did the acting, and even though I'm a writer and a producer, I didn't enjoy acting because it was too strenuous, and just a lot to do. Now, if somebody told me we want to put you in a major production, in a major movie, your girl gonna start acting,
right?
But there's something that will draw me to do something that I may be uncomfortable.
Exactly. Gardening, I don't do bugs and dirt.
Okay, but you don't.
But see, all that peer pressure, but here's what's happened. There has been so much growth, so many lessons, and I've posted about it, right? So many lessons that have come out of that work that, and there's something about, just like I said, connecting, pen to paper, journaling, coloring, praying in color. There's something about the science of that connection. It's the same thing when you have your hands in the dirt, well, with gloves on, right? There's something about having participated in growing something, seeing something grow from these little bitty plants to seeds, right? To the fruit coming on the vine, to, wait, what's wrong? Why am I getting brown spots? What do I need to do? I mean, there's a whole thing, y'all. It's the same thing with working out. People that talk about CrossFit, right? There's a woman I watch, her name is Kaija, and it's called Kaija Fit. She's on Instagram. And I watch this woman. Some of the stuff she does just makes my knees hurt. And yet I watch her. I'm like, I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to do that. And I was talking to my trainer because she also follows her, and she said, "But Laurel, people watch her, and what I love about her is that she is quick to tell people, I've been training a long time to get to the point that I can do this.
Say it again.
I didn't come to the gym doing this day one." She says, "I've been training a long time to get here." So when she is jumping up on 2 stacked things, box jumps, when she is, doing a plank where her feet are actually on a wall and her hands are on a box. She didn't start out doing that. Mm-hmm. That wasn't day one. It's the same thing with us. Even when we talk about trying to get rid of head trash and trying to get rid of limiting beliefs, they didn't get there in 2 seconds. They got there over time, through experiences, through reinforcement, either intentional or unintentional. They're not going to go away overnight. But you owe it to yourself to figure out where they are, what they are, and address them. You owe it to yourself to figure out what it is that makes your soul sing, what it is that gives your brain peace, especially if you got a messy mind like I do. What lets you get out of that? Like golf, right? You can't focus on nothing else when you're golfing. You just can't. Some people like to, drive really fast, right? I remember for one of my brother's birthdays, I took him to the Texas Motor Speedway and gave him one of those driving experiences. And he was on cloud 9, man. But we both love speed and we love muscle cars. But, when you're doing that, you can't focus on nothing else. That car is going almost 200 miles an hour around the track. You've got to pay attention. So are there some things that you can do if you've got a messy mind that gives your mind an opportunity to just be still? And in that stillness, you can see where you need to go. I remember somebody saying one time, you're just too busy. You're just busy, 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 busy. Why are you so busy? And in that conversation, they were like, sometimes you're so busy because you don't want to address the thing you're trying to run away from. So the busyness is not good. The busyness is fear and running away. Head trash. Something's telling you not to address something, so let me just get busy. Let me just do a bunch of activity that may or may not be connected to anything I want to do, but it's keeping me busy. I'm so busy, right? I'm hustling, I'm grinding. That's why I talked about that later on. We use those words and then we punish people if they're not hustling enough. If you didn't get what you wanted, your hustle wasn't strong enough. It may be that thing you wanted wasn't for you. And your hustle was just right. Your direction was just wrong. But if you don't take the time to figure out which one it is, then you start believing all of that. I'm not getting it because I'm not working hard enough. And that's where we get to all that burnout stuff. If I just work harder, if I just run faster, if I'm just better, it'll get better. If I just do more, it'll get better. If I just work harder, if I'm just nicer, if I'm just insert whatever here, then it'll be okay. As opposed to, is the thing I'm wanting the right thing in the first place? And if it is, what are the things that really get me there? And in what reasonable amount of time? As opposed to all this external pressure of you're not working hard enough, you're not grinding hard enough, you didn't get it, so you must not be focused. Really? And here's the thing. I believed all that stuff too. I'm telling you now, don't believe that. Now, again, you don't need to just sit on your rear end and say, Lord, bring it to me. Just make my life gorgeous, right? You do have to put in some work, but you don't have to be contigente. You don't. You have to be focused. You have to be deliberate. You have to be in action. You have to know where you're grounded, know what your guide is, whatever that is. There has to be something bigger than you that drives you, whatever that is for you. Stay connected to that and stay grounded, because when it gets crazy, that's what keeps you from losing it. Or at least, even if you lose it, it helps you get back. Because we've all lost it at some point. We've all lost it at some point, especially after, a significant death or loss. We lose it. Because I know I did. After my dad died, I was a hot mess. Didn't really realize it because, see, I was away from home. I was by myself. I had to figure out how to just make it work. That's how you learn to just start showing up. You bury stuff so you can just show up. That's what happens.
Well, that's why the pandemic in an offbeat was a blessing in disguise. Yeah. Because it caused a lot of us. I was going to travel a lot when my mom passed, but the pandemic put that to a halt. So that was a good thing to work on my mind and my brain. We got to Misha Pruitt-Ray that's on here. She said, whoa, I just came in here in time.
My girl.
So let me ask this one question.
Yes.
Because you're talking empowerment, and we've got a lot of ladies on my line right here, and they're all for it. Everybody's for riding bikes but you. Okay, so we're not even worried about that. Okay, that's the Empowerment Village. let them know about the Empowerment Village. But what I want to ask a question,
Yes.
just like we did with the gardening and the planting,
yes,
can JB Productions and the Empowerment Village set aside something to partner with later on down the road where we can get these ladies to all come do something that we've never done before?
Absolutely.
Because they're all with it.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing.
So
I will be at the water station for the bike ride.
Okay, golf. What do we set aside a day?
Something.
And we do the show live.
Yeah.
We merge together on this event to do something where the ladies can come.
That would be awesome.
And we go hit some balls. Just to
something.
Stay focused.
Yeah, go to Top Golf or Herman Park or somewhere.
Golf.
Yeah.
Top Golf. That's good.
Yeah.
Because that's in the building.
Yeah.
It's not hot.
Yeah, it's not hot.
Okay.
It's not hot.
So they got with it. And then Tamisha come sing for us.
Tamisha, look, girl, because I don't know if you were on last week, but yes, ma'am. All of that at the Back to Life, Back to Reality show. I'm just saying.
She was it.
Thank you. It was absolutely amazing. So I've been listening to you on Spotify.
Oh.
So that's the show today. I always run over. I want to thank you guys. I want to encourage you again. Remember, Toby and Lisa will be sending your stuff out. I want to encourage you guys to go to the Facebook page, Empowerment Village. The 21-day challenge, you can still get in. We're in week number 2. It's 3 weeks, so 21 days. Just one thing. We only ask you to do one thing a day that either lifts you up or another woman or both. That's it. So we want you guys to participate, and we're going to be giving away some more tumblers. Then we might have a bigger surprise thing at the end that kind of ties into what I was talking about today.
They all said, let's make it happen, Laurel.
Yes.
But Cynthia's message, she said, you will sit on her bike. I like to see this. Let's put a wager out there.
No, thank you. I appreciate it.
We're not going to worry about that. What about water aerobics? Somebody's like,
right. You know what? I don't mind water aerobics. As long as they finally approve the cap that fits over our hair. I love that.
Oh, you too much. You too much.
No, y'all, we are, Jerry. No, I'm down. Y'all,
okay.
We're going to do something.
We're going to set it up.
We're going to set it up. We're going to make it happen.
Active radio.
Yes, we're going to make it happen. That'd be awesome. And I wonder if we can broadcast from there.
That's good that you're not listening. I said we're broadcasting. Okay.
I did. But it's not unkind to be clear, right? I wanted to be clear. Did she mean broadcast here and then go?
No, we go out and broadcast and do the shows live.
I am there.
So we need to be on the green. We need to, because if Top Call, we can't do it live, but we can do it live at Herman Park.
Yeah, that's what we'll have to do then. Okay. We'll just find some shade. Okay. All right, y'all. It's been a great time with you again. Thank you for joining this Tuesday on the Rutledge Perspective Radio Show. Go check out the Empowerment Village. Go get registered to vote and exercise your right to vote. Take care of you today. Bye.